Welcome back to State of the Association. I'm your host, Nash Roberts. We've got a bonus episode today. I said in yesterday's episode that was kind of recapping week one of the NFL season that I would do one for the Monday night game as well, because it only makes sense. You can't just leave the 49ers and Jets out just because, they didn't have a game Thursday night, Friday night, or Sunday. So I'm going to talk about those two teams today. I'm going to start off with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, for the 49ers, I would like to say that I was wrong about them. I said in the segment about the Detroit Lions and how they can take the throne of NFC champions this year, I said that the 49ers, the top end talent on that team is so great, but if they lose a guy, especially CMC, to injury, then that could spell disaster for them. And I was wrong, because not only does this team have the top end talent, they have the depth too. Jordan Mason came out, he had a great game for the 49ers. And so for San Francisco, unless you have multiple major injuries to multiple key players like Debo, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, CMC, any combination of that, unless you have multiple major injuries on the offensive end, your offense is going to be just fine. Even at the QB, even with the QB situation, Brock Purdy, there's assistant quarterback allegations. I don't agree with the allegations, but there are people that think Brock Purdy's system QB, and that's a result of Kyle Shanahan has built a great system. He is a great mind for football generally, so you can slot in a backup QB, and he would be able to do pretty solidly, at least with the weapons around him and the scheme. So even if Brock Purdy went down, your season's not over. The Niners, not only do they have the top end talent, they've got the depth as well, and I made a mistake about that. But for their defense, I also want to focus on that's the key to this team ultimately, because they've just got so many stars. They've got Fred Warner, they've got Nick Bosa, a great secondary as well, and that's the backbone of this team, in my opinion, is their smothering defense. No matter whether it's the run or the pass, they've got answers for anything. So that's what really makes this team top-tier contenders, a juggernaut in the NFC. And the 49ers are going to be hard to take down regardless, whether they have a couple injuries, whether their offense isn't living up to expectations, that defense is going to be able to make up for it. So I think the San Francisco 49ers are ready to make a Super Bowl run again and maybe win it. Do I think they will? Perhaps not. But, I don't want to get caught up in storylines too much and say, because the Packers are young and exciting, that the 49ers don't have a chance. No, they very much do. And I think that's a big part of it in terms of attention, is that the 49ers, they've been great. They've made the Super Bowl twice in the last 4 years, I believe. And with that, it comes, hey, this team's not that exciting. Let's not talk about them. Let's talk about a young, exciting team. Let's talk about America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. But with the Niners, they're a little bit more stable. And so maybe they don't get talked about as much. You throw them under the rug for other more exciting teams like Detroit. But the 49ers, they're just as good as ever, and they'll be right back to try to win the NFC once again. If you enjoyed this video, it would be great if you could find it in you to like, subscribe, maybe check out the full podcast on Spotify, follow us on there, follow us on Instagram. I know realistically this podcast isn't going to go anywhere ultimately, whether it's via the segments on YouTube or the entire podcast itself, but I want to get into the sports broadcasting business. I want to be able to promote thought-provoking discussions about the NBA, and I would love to do it via State of the Association. Thank you if you made it all the way through.